the anti-vaxxers. They are putting at risk their own kids, and they're putting at risk our kids as well. And those people are putting us all at risk. Aaron O'Toole is siding with them instead of with Canadians who did their part and stepped up. Canadians have shown it in being there for each other. And I am not going to back down no matter how many of them show up to try and shout us down. So shame on you, Aaron O'Toole. You need to condemn those people. And that means we're going to work on vaccination certifications, on vaccination passports.
And that we work with the provinces on vaccine certifications.
If you want to get on a plane or a train in the coming months, you're going to have to be fully vaccinated. Now is the time for people who are still resistant to getting vaccinated, that there will be consequences for those people in not being able to go to a gym or a restaurant, not being able to go to a movie theater, not being able to get on a train or a plane.
Our plan is to make sure that anyone on a plane or train is vaccinated, that anyone in the Federal Public Service gets vaccinated.
And we know that the way to get through this as well is to make sure that people can go into non-essential businesses and feel safe that they're not going to get catch COVID from someone next to them.
We all have an opportunity to get back a little more to normal. Except that those people who have not yet chosen to get vaccinated are putting all this at risk.
The risk posed to all of us by unvaccinated people?
Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame!
Le refus d'obtempérer à cet ordre vous rend passible d'une amende pouvant aller de 1 000 à 6 000 $.
Not only are they putting at risk our kids who are still too young to get vaccinated. I have a 7-year-old who started in grade 2 just earlier this week. Very excited about it, but he's vulnerable. All of us, even if we did the right things and got vaccinated, are at risk of lockdowns because of future waves of unvaccinated.
Having us risk more lockdowns because they haven't chosen to get vaccinated yet.
Please, everyone, if we can be respectful, if we can leave.
Piece of shit! Transphobic piece of shit! Transphobic piece of shit! Transphobic, this is where the line. This is where.
In September, the federal government posted a call for expressions of interest for contractors to supply, provide, and manage quarantine isolation camps throughout every province and every territory in Canada. These quarantine isolation camps, however, are not limited to people with COVID, but provide a wide latitude for many people to be detained. Surely this government is aware of the intentions to build these isolation camps from coast to coast. And my question to the Premier is, how many of these camps will be built? And how many people does this government expect to detain?
My son is supposed to be coming in from the flight from Phoenix, and he is being detained because they didn't accept his test. They're saying it's not accurate, and they are wanting to take him to a quarantine facility. They won't let me talk to him. They won't let me see him. They won't come and talk to me. The board, they say he doesn't have a choice. They say that it's the law. They say that I don't have the right to talk to him, to see him, and they are taking him against my will and his will, and I'm not okay with it, and I don't know what to do about it, and I don't know where I'm supposed to find him. So this quarantine facility apparently is up and running and totally legal, as they say, and I'm freaking out.
Today, we're confirming an additional $23.7 million in federal funding to operate isolation sites in regions such as Toronto, Peel, York, and Durham. And we're finalizing the details for similar sites in Thunder Bay, Windsor, and other regions.
Quebec is planning to force adults that refuse a COVID vaccine to pay what's called a health contribution tax.
Those who refuse to receive their first dose in the coming weeks will have to pay a new health contribution.
We will be putting forward measures to put those tools permanently in place. The authorities of FinTrack, I believe, do need to be expanded to cover crowdsourcing platforms and payment platform and their payment providers.
Mais il y a aussi des gens qui sont farouchement opposés à la vaccination. Qui sont extrémistes. Qui croient pas dans la science, qui sont souvent misogynes, souvent racistes aussi. Et là, il faut faire un choix en tant que leader, en tant que pays. Est-ce qu'on tolère ces gens-là?
So we need to rethink our notion of what terrorism is these days. Is that the point?
Well, I think be more expansive in our definition. I really see two main streams, and one is an emphasis on nationalism, also tied in with a anti-statist or anti-authoritarian perception.
And why would we call it right-wing extremism?
You know, that traditional left-right ideological spectrum, liberalism, conservatism.
A new report that really is a warning about rising online activity by right-wing extremists in Canada.
In Canada, we found that right-wing extremists were more active in 2020 than they were in 2019. The accounts belonging to right-wing extremists were more prevalent and more accessible.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his government's COVID restrictions were a frequent target of those attacks.
Well, I absolutely do think that white supremacist movements are a very real, a very grave threat to Western liberal democracy. I think they are a grave and real threat here in Canada.
The next terrorist killer in Canada is known. We can build the profile. It's a guy. He's white. And he's probably said some shit. He's probably made you feel a little bit uncomfortable with some of his comments. He might have a thing for military paraphernalia or firearms. And we need to snitch on these guys.
You want my life, Jesse Brown? You come and take it. Don't send the millennials after me on your little witch hunt.
The small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are...
That's why I went to Ottawa. 9 out of 10 stages for genocide present in Canada right now. And apparently, the target of this little witch hunt, the profile of the next terrorist killer in Canada, is just about everybody I know who's ever bled for this country. Are you going to tell me that we weren't met with hatred?
That's a wounded veteran! That's a wounded warrior right there! I see that fucking head! That's gonna Hey, you don't have to hit him like that. Please.
Are you going to tell me that those cops didn't hate us?
Man being kneed there. It's terrible.
Oh, come on through. Come on through. What is happening here? Wow. What is this lady doing? Trampling. Trampling horses. Trampling. Stop it. Stop it. Look. Oh my God.
And that profile of the next terrorist killer? You're going to tell me that's by accident? I'm not so sure. Hey, what's up, troops? It's V4F Sgt-Maj Jeff Evely back with you now on this 24th day of January 2023 already. I have a very special podcast for you here tonight. I had Csaba Vizi on my the stream here the other night, and we just did a pre-record. So I'm just going to show that to you guys now. I'm just getting a chance to put it up there, and I might throw in a few highlights for the day near the end. But I'm just going to go ahead and share this video file with you. I just had a problem with my video encoder right before I went live here, but I'll give you the full length video coming at you right now. All right. Hi there, folks. This is Jeff Evely, Ops Sgt-Maj with the Veterans for Freedom. I have with me here Mr. Csaba Vizi. Csaba is very well known from the Freedom Convoy. He was the gentleman who held fast in his truck to the bitter end before being taken down in truly brutal fashion that to gain some international attention. But I think I'll let Csaba, tell his own story here. So, Csaba, why don't you just tell us a little bit about, who you are, how you got involved in the freedom movement, and what you've been up to since last year.
Oh, hi, everybody. Well, I born in Romania in 71. I'm a pretty old dude.
Gen Xer.
So I born in Romania, and during the communist era, and as a kid over there, how to say that? I thought that's how it's supposed to be, how you should live your life. Then at one point we realized we don't have the same freedom like everybody else around Romania. And then getting older, we came out with all kind of question. Me, myself, like how come we cannot do the same thing like people in Canada or United States?
Right.
For example, in our city, basically in entire Romania, if you had cars, because only a few people had cars, not everybody. Mm-hmm. You wasn't able to use your car wherever you wanted to travel with that. Once, because you get your fuel like 20-30 liters a month for your car, and also your license plate number, if it was paired or impaired, you had your specific weekends when you can use it. So things like that. We had
it all sounds ominously familiar.
We had the electricity cut off basically from 3 or 4 o'clock in afternoon until midnight. So imagine kids, they was coming back from school, especially in the winter time, getting back 4 or 5 o'clock. You have to do your homework with the candle or with oil lamps and stuff like that.
Wow.
Also, we didn't have heat. We didn't have warm water. We have to heat up water to take showers. You know? So, and also the freedom of speech back there. If you was crazy to say something about the government, you might end up getting a nice ass whooping. Or if you was like a reporter and you have the balls to put something in the paper, I know a particular one guy in my city, he just disappeared. Nobody knew anything about it. Our phones, they was tapped. Neighbors, they was calling the authorities if they suspect you do something illegal.
Right.
You know, we get bread by tickets. You couldn't go to the store and buy, let's say, a whole bread for yourself. You get only a quarter. Or you want to go to buy meat, forget about it. It was maybe once in a while if you get some bones with some meat on it. It was everything controlled. My family had money because my father worked in some mines, and those people, they earn a nice amount of money every month. And we couldn't do anything with the money because you cannot go to the, buy some nice pairs of shoes. They was one kind of running shoes, very uncomfortable, and that's it. That's what you can get. So yeah, after a while of growing older, things like these start bothering me. Seeing all people around can do so much, and we just couldn't do all the same thing. And I said to myself, that's it. I want to flee Romania. Then in '89, people just had enough. And for some reason, they just start waking up. And we had a big revolution. So our dictator was caught while he tried to flee the palace. He was caught. Then he was executed in the live national TV. Everybody saw it. But soon after that, things didn't improve in better. Some other communists take his place. So I decided that's it. I had enough, and I'm gonna just leave the country.
Right.
So basically, in 1990, I left Romania.
Wow. And geez, that was the same year the wall came down. So was that wasn't it? We're at the Berlin Wall.
I'm not
was right around
sure.
that time as well. Yeah. I'll check it out. Yeah. So sounds like there were a lot of things happening, kind of in the region, I guess, with the remnants of the Soviet Empire still active, but not as strong. And I guess I'm really curious to know if there were certain social trends, maybe harbingers of coming tyranny, that kind of thing, that you saw in Canadian society leading up to a lot of this stuff, leading up to the protests. Because I know you went to the protests, so you must have had a real sense that something was wrong. And yeah, I'm just wondering if you could highlight some of the parallels that you might have seen between what we're seeing here in Canada.
Yeah, so from Romania, I emigrated to Hungary. I spent 10 years of my life over there. But, I always want more out from me, to do more with my life, to provide more for my family. And that's why I decided to come to Canada. Because, it was kind of a land of opportunities here for a hard worker. So yeah, in 2000 we came in Canada with my family, and I started driving a truck. Everything was good. It was nice. I was making a good living. We was happy. We afford vacations. So basically, I wasn't involved in any politics, and I didn't know exactly what's going on. I was making my money. My family was happy. And but starting with this pandemic, I start saying things which one I didn't like it. They start to force people to get injected with unknown ingredients, with unknown side effects. Yeah. Also mandating us to wear a mask, to stay locked in our homes and stuff like that. And I said, this is not normal. Especially, I had a chance to see Bill Gates in one video in some Romanian news in 2010, talking about how overpopulated we are, I mean the Earth. And they want to control the number of population through a vaccine. I remember I was pretty pissed seeing him on TV, making decision for all the humanity. I said, who the hell is this guy to decide we are too many and a few of us we have to go? So anyway, I was pissed. Then the pandemic started. You know, I fall for that at the beginning, just like everybody else, I guess. I was thinking, that's it. This is the end. We're going to die. Then it happened to see him again on TV saying, oh, people, just chill. Our scientists are working 24/7 to come up with the vaccine to save everybody. I said, hold on a minute. I remember exactly what he said. But, you know, in 2010, it was a video recording of what he said in 1992. Right. You know? This thing was planned for a long, long time. Then that was the reason why I didn't fall for the vaccine, and I stand against it. You know, and then I heard about the convoy. You know, I was struggling in my family because I lost the opportunity to provide work for them. I have my oldest girl. She finished nursing. She wasn't able to get her final exam, the board exam, because they implement the vaccine mandate and stuff like that. And
wow. And was it the vaccine mandate that was impacting your ability to work too? You're saying you weren't, there was lost income.
That's right. Yes, I couldn't cross the border after January 15.
Right.
I live right at the border here in Windsor.
Okay, gotcha. So you would do an awful lot of cross-border trips being in Windsor then.
We were struggling, you know, mentally and emotionally, and we was desperate what to do next, what's going to happen with us. Then I heard about the convoy, and I said, yeah, I got to be part of it. Because being home, sitting on a sofa, waiting for somebody else to fix our life, that's not a good idea. So I got to stand up and do something for my family, for myself. Then 4 days prior to convoy, I was protesting here in Windsor, slowing the traffic at the bridge. And I got lots of support. Like, I start feeling good seeing other people, they are involved in the same thing. They are seeing the same thing I see. Because at the beginning, I was thinking we are only just a few of us who see the wrongdoing of our government. Yeah. I was glad seeing so many people gathered and they was on the same page with me.
Yeah, so, on the overpasses and stuff, there was
motivation, like, you know. So
that was really something to see. Just how many people came out to the side of the highway and the overpasses. Yeah, absolutely inspirational. Yeah,
exactly. Then that morning when I head to Ottawa, I mount a flag on my truck and I kiss my family goodbye. to be honest with you, I was thinking I'm not gonna have the chance to see them again, because I was up for a fight, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't know what's gonna happen in Ottawa, but I knew I'm not gonna come home until something is not fixed. So when I hit the highway and I saw the first overpass with a few hundred people on it, I completely lost it, man. It was like something. It was so freaking cold outside, you know. Yeah. And those people, they was in an open air on the top of the bridge, waving flags, supporting us. It was like something really nice. You know, it touched me really deep. So then I was continued to drive to Ottawa, and on each and every overpass, it was full with people, man. It's hard to describe that feeling, you know. At one point, I was driving while I was crying, and it was at the London area. I saw a bunch of veterans, you know.
Yep.
Like old guys staying in line right on the side of the highway and saluting everybody like that, man. That was, I couldn't stop crying for like half an hour at least. It was very emotional for me.
Yeah, I believe it, man. And I attended Ottawa myself. I was one of the veterans of the monument. And I know that feeling. Like once I saw what was happening, I was like, I have to be a part of that, and I have to get there. I was coming from the East Coast, so I didn't really get to see the overpasses lined with people the way that you did, but that must have been pretty incredible. And what was it like when you first arrived there in Ottawa? What was it like when you first got there?
Well, you know, I was so anxious to get in Ottawa as soon as possible. So at one point, I was following everybody at a low speed, like 80 kilometers an hour. Then I was thinking, man, if all these people, they're going to reach Ottawa, I'm going to end up somewhere on the highway. So then it came at one point, I said, that's it. I'm going to just pass everybody and try to get in the heart of Ottawa as soon as possible. So our little convoy get broke down in like 80 trucks by the Ottawa police. Still don't understand how that happened or who organized all that, but we end up parked right in the front of the War Museum. When we stop over there, I remember like 6 big trucks in the front. And all those guys, they just did a U-turn at that intersection. I didn't understand why, because from that spot, I already saw the parliament. Mm-hmm. Then I went asking them, hey, guys, what the hell are we doing here? Why we are stopped? We got to go to the parliament. And those people, you know, they didn't want to communicate with me at all. They said, I don't know who you are. I have a trust issue right now. I don't want to chit chat. So I was confused. I didn't know what's going on. But I knew for sure I don't want to be parked in the front of the War Museum. I want to go to the parliament. So I asked some people around if they want to join me to come to the parliament, because that intersection was already blocked by the police, you know. And everybody was like, no, I want to stay here, see what's going on. Me, I couldn't find my, I was like fully thankful, you know. Remember how many truck drivers to join me, because I was right in the front of that police blockade. Mm-hmm. The first truck. I said, man, I'm going to drive through. Are you going to follow me to the parliament? And everybody said, no, I'm okay here. Then next day in the morning, I woke up. I was so pissed. I saw people out on the street smoking cigarettes, doing basically nothing. I said, I didn't come here like 900 kilometers just to stay here. I said, fuck it. I start my truck and I was driving through that intersection.
Yeah.
I wave at the police. Then I start approaching the parliament. I never with my truck, so I did the street should I take. So I just went through that blockade, and I just tried to get myself closer and closer to them. Then it happened to me to cross another police lane. Everybody was stopped. Nobody wanna cross that intersection because it was a police cruiser right parked in the middle. So I said, I don't care. I just drive around the car. Then everybody followed me. You know, police came running, stopping me right on the bridge over there on Wellington Street.
Yeah.
Right close to that fancy hotel.
Chateau Laurier.
That's correct, yes.
Yep.
And the police was so angry, the officer asking me, what the hell you think you're doing? You don't see the intersection is closed? I said, you know what? I'm coming from 9 hours of driving, and I want to see this part of the city.
Mm-hmm.
You think this bridge is yours, then it's also mine. Then the guy said, okay, please, can you give us a couple minutes to move some vehicles? Because it was parked with government vehicles. I don't even know how many police cruisers. And I said, yeah, sure. Take your time, man, because I have plenty. I came here to stay. Then you should see all those police officers. They was basically running to move those cars out of the way because all the people who start following me, they was blocking that whole bridge for the entire weekend. Yeah, that was awesome.
That's what we call lighting a fire under somebody's ass. I think you lit a fire under a lot of asses there when you when you moved up to the parliament. Yeah, from there, I'm just going to I'll give you a screen share here. So from there, as I understand it, you actually drew international attention, and here's Jesse Waters from Fox News down in the U.S.
Here now is Freedom Convoy trucker Csaba Vizi. Csaba, you heard the Canadians call you racist, a Confederate, an insurrectionist, a Nazi even. What's your reaction to that?
Good evening, sir. Well, they are completely wrong. We are not racist. We have nothing to do with that Confederation flag. Somebody just tried to do something bad to turn this protest into something else, but it was only one guy. So we are not racist. I have all type of friends, color friends, Spanish, Chinese, they are great people. There is no racism here.
And you are from Romania originally, and you've been in Canada for decades. And you think this one Confederate flag that I guess everyone has pointed to is a plant, and that's it? One guy, a plant?
Correct, sir.
Okay.
A guy show up with that flag, with a full face mask, trying to make us look bad. But I can tell you, here everybody, they are wonderful people.
Okay.
Since I'm here part of this convoy, the whole movement, what's happening here, he left a huge mark in me for the rest of my life. You should see people on the street. They don't know each other. They hug each other. People, they are, everybody's just giving things away to anybody.
All right. Well,
I've been approached by somebody offering me $50, and I said, thank you very much. I don't need your money. He said, it's not my money. It's somebody else's money. Just give me, he gave me to help him out, to give money to the people. People, they are coming with food, with let me show you something. Look, I got hundreds and hundreds of little notes from kids, from older people, basically from everyone.
That's
You know,
sweet. And it sounds like you guys have more support up there than the media makes it out to be. And if you could do us a favor, since you're able to shut down the northern border, can you head down maybe to Texas and shut that border down? We could use your help down south. Thank you very much. And we're going to follow this however it plays out. And we appreciate you joining Jesse Waters Prime Time.
Yeah, Jesse's throwing back to, I think, another headline there about border security on the southern border. But man, great job. Like, way to represent. And it's just, I like the way that you speak. You have a very candid manner of speaking. And I think that, you know, any honest person can see that you're like no BS when you're dealing with Jesse Waters. And that was one heck of an experience, though. I remember being there and there was so much love I've never seen. I mean, that was probably the best thing I ever saw on Canadian soil when I was there in Ottawa. And I think you did a really great job of showing it. But go like, yeah, tell us a little bit about that, like what the people were like on the ground there, leading right up to the 18th, I guess.
Well, Jeff, I was sitting in my truck all of these days. I never had a day off. People, they offered me, we have a hotel room. You can go and have a rest and sleep over there, spend your night in a hotel, recharge your batteries, and I refused to do that. I said, for me, this protest is like going to war. I don't think so. A soldier, when it's going to war, has a day off. You know. So I refused to go to the hotel. Instead of that, I was in my truck all those days. And every day, starting from like 8 o'clock in the morning to basically 1 o'clock in the morning, people, they will keep coming to my truck. Many times I have a big line of people waiting to shake my hands, to talk with me.
I'm actually just showing one of those lines on the screen here. It's something to see. This is from 17 February, according to the video.
I will tell you how exactly that day happened.
Yeah, please.
So I had a chance to talk and meet with thousands of people, hundreds of people every day. They make me cry. They make me laugh. They bring me food. I hug, I don't know how many people, lots of people. So it was kind of emotional roller coaster for me over there. The thing is, you know, when somebody came to my truck and they told me their life story, their family stories, you know, and not mostly of those stories, they was sad, you know. People, they lost family members, friends.
Yeah.
Many of them, they was injured after taking the vaccine and they was suffering, you know. But all the persons over there who I have a chance to meet, they beg me to stay for them until the end. And I promise them, no matter what, I will be there until the end. And more to that, I had an interview with Greg Wildcliffe, the very first interview of mine, when I said I'm going to be the very last truck leaving Ottawa. I'm going to come home glorious like Caesar or in a fucking body bag. And I almost was the last one leaving. So, yeah, that footage, which one you are about to start?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Happened in February 17, when police moved in and they tried to arrest me and my friends who was parking that same spot.
Yeah.
It was right in the front of that fancy hotel. And a friend of mine who's very popular on the social media, call out for help, for people to show up and help us not get arrested that night. And somewhere around 400 to 500 people showed up and protect my truck, not being towed that night and me being arrested. So they helped me out to move up because I was pretty much alone in that intersection. They helped me to move up on the top of the hill in the front of the parliament. At one point, I get stuck in the snow, and those people in the video, they pushed my truck up on the hill. It was something which one you cannot describe in words. You know, it was like phenomenal.
That's incredible.
So many people to show up to help me out, do not get arrested that night. It was like awesome.
And that's what they're all lining up to do right here in this video?
Yes.
Yeah,
That was, yes, it was after I parked my truck in the front of the parliament. And they came to my truck, all those people who pushed my truck and blocked the intersection so police cannot get close. You know, it was awesome. People, they were singing the anthem, yelling freedom. It was snowing so heavily that night. It was incredible.
I remember a crowd of people, and they were basically separated into Anglo-Franco, and they were shouting, freedom, liberté, freedom, liberté. And I was like, man, the Anglos and the Francos are getting along. You know, if we're all in agreement and we're all on the same team, like this is a really galvanizing moment, I think, in Canadian history. Like I was seeing so many different, everybody, all different walks of life. I saw there was a northern guy I talked to for quite a bit at the like a northern Inuit, and he had the seal skin on and everything. He came all the way down from up north. I was like, man, are you kidding me? Holy smokes. Yeah, they've got a pretty interesting story to tell, you know, still living that lifestyle. So yeah, I've never seen anything like it. And well, there was this.
Thank you.
And that was what I saw throughout while we were there, is, you know, exactly that kind of, I don't know, just this outpouring of support and love from everybody. And this is from the 18th. This would have been, right? The when they did take you down eventually?
No. They start to arrest me in 17.
Okay.
Next day, the police start moving on and to clear up the whole Wellington Street. So they made a few arrests in 18. I was thinking I'm going to get arrested in 18 too, but didn't happen like that. I was arrested in February 19 at 9:30 in the morning.
Okay.
I was right in the front of the stage, right in the middle of the whole protest. And when they start approaching, I see those armed vehicles, you know, the police cordons, and witnessing the beating what people they get trying to hold the line. You know, old ladies get beat up. It was pretty terrifying, you know. Because at one point, it was music on the stage. Some people happened to dance in the front of the stage, in front of our trucks. But also, like about 80 meters away from that, it was the whole police convoy moving in, you know, little by little. And people leaving the scene, like truckers, in the last minute, you know, before they get to them, they just start their truck and they start moving.
Yeah.
somebody from the convoy called me like an hour early, like, okay, Csaba, that's it. You gotta come and regroup with us. There's no point for you to stay over there. And I remember I said, after seeing my friend truck beside me with the front steel tires deflated, I said, nope, I'm not gonna go. You guys just regroup, do your thing. I don't want to move. I promise I'm gonna stay. I will be the last one leaving. Then I'm gonna do it just like that. So
yeah,
you know, at one point the music stopped on the over there on the stage track. People, they was rushing to disassemble the whole stage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I saw people running towards the police to help others to hold the line. I saw old people leaving the you know, the front line with blood on her face. It was a terrifying few minutes before they get pretty close to my truck, and I decide that I just gonna step down from my truck. So just go there and make them easy, you know. I don't want them to come into my truck and struggle with them over there. So I said, that's it. Going down, I'm gonna be on my knee and let them take me. So I just did that. I get down from my truck, you know, I put my hands behind my head, and in that moment they start pushing me with those batons, asking me to leave the scene. But I said, I'm not going, I'm a driver. Then one SWAT officer yelled to somebody else over there, other officers, to arrest me. So they grabbed me, they pulled me between them, behind them. I remember feeling so much pressure on the ground because they was like 3 on top of me. I also tried to raise my hands for them to cuff me. And I feel lots of pressure and movement on the ground. But in that moment, I didn't felt any beating, any kicking, any punches. I felt nothing. And at one point, they get me back up on my feet, and we was walking down the street. So I remember an old lady crying beside one officer. She was handcuffed and she was crying. And I just told her, hey, sister, don't cry. Everything is going to be all right. And this motherfucker this pig in a uniform, he was asking me, is that your sister? I said, yes, she's my sister, just like you are my brother. And suddenly this officer didn't ask any more questions, because before that he was asking me all kind of questions, and after that he just went quiet. Even he didn't answer something I was asking him. So anyway, so we reached my officer, who was taking me, you know, for further procedure. Like he was looking in my pockets, and you know. Then I get into that prisoner truck with a few others. It was a little bit of torture over there because the engine wasn't running. The whole interior is made out of hard aluminum.
Yep.
And he was sitting over there in that cold, you know, after a while sitting on that aluminum, it felt like it was burning, you know. So they kept us over there a couple hours in that truck. Then they took us to a warehouse, one by one. After that, they get us out from that truck. I remember when it was my turn to go inside, officers over there, they already knew me because I had so many interviews before my arrest. I was pretty loud. I wasn't really controlling myself how I talk about our government, our leader, you know. So
So-called.
they knew me by my name. They knew me, you are the Romanian driver. So they saw my interviews and all that stuff. So they take me over there, you know, they fingerprint me, and they told me I'm gonna be charged criminally. They threw me like 3 criminal offenses, like resisting arrest was one of them, which one it sounds completely ridiculous, you know. I don't even know how would I resist arrest by simply breathing.
Just briefly, here is a few seconds of the footage of the arrest. So here's Csaba resisting. Yeah. Something else, man. I mean, honestly, bro, I've never seen anything like this in Canada. And I'm born and raised 44 years. So these are unprecedented times. I'll say that much on behalf of my fellow Canadians. But yeah. So they slap a resisting charge on that, do they?
Yeah. So, and I have 2 mischief offenses and one for honking, which one it's like failing to obey a court order, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And also I'm dealing with my lawyer at the moment. He's asking me for a huge amount of money to defend me. But anyway, being arrested over there,
well,
they also did a lot of damage, you know. They broke a bone in my wrist, which one, for some reason, doesn't want to heal. The surgeon, he want to remove that broken bone from my wrist, and my hand is going to be like 50% after that. And I decide I'm not going to take that surgery. I'm going to just live with my hands like that. It's not 100%, but it's not also 50. So I'm going to just try to live my life like that. And also, you know, what scared me the next day, because first day I was completely fine, you know.
Yeah.
I get reunited with my family, you know, because they was up in Ottawa 2 days prior my arrest. So my wife happened to see my beating my arrest live, you know. You can imagine how she felt. Then for long hours, she didn't know nothing about where I am, how she can get in contact with me. Because before my arrest, I give my phone to somebody and make sure they are not going to took it or break it or, you know, confiscate it.
Yep.
So it was no way for me to communicate with my family. Then after, I don't know, in afternoon, I had a chance to get reunited with my family, and I was all day okay, you know. But next day when I tried to wake up in the morning, it was hard. So then I feel all that beating next day.
Yeah.
I also had the blood in my urine. I couldn't breathe for like 2-3 weeks. Now I'm waiting for an MRI, you know, because they damaged my neck. My 3 fingers on my left arm, they are numb, you know, stuff like that. So.
Yeah, it's pretty sick stuff like that, if you ask me. I mean, that's not the price you pay for protesting in Canada. This is
That's right.
That's a charter protected right that they've just kneed and smashed to pieces. This is like, it's terrible. You're going to have health issues now because of this, and these are kind of lasting injuries. And I did have this up just a second ago. I'll put it up again, but this is Csaba's legal defense fund. So it's a give, send, go. And, you know, since some people might not be comfortable with that, we also have here on the ticker the the address to send any e-transfers, and that's getavizi@mail.com. So that's Golf Echo Tango Alpha Victor India Zulu India @mail.com. So if you just want to send e-transfers, you can do that too. I imagine you must have some pretty hefty bills over this thing, and that really is kind of a trend that we're seeing. Is the process is the punishment. You know, you're going to have to go through this whole harrowing affair. What's been a harrowing affair already, and there's still this legal battle ahead of you. And by the time you get it all sorted out, like, you know, that'll be punishment enough for having stood up to the regime. So it's a really sad state of affairs in Canada, man.
Yes, it is. It is. A lawyer got in touch with me about a month and a half ago, telling me about the deal what the Crown has for me to accept 30 days of jail and plead guilty. And I said, hell no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to plead guilty even if I'm not going to end up with any criminal record. That's not going to happen. He said, in that case, I'm going to have a 5-day trial in September the 10th. And, you know, and he's asking for like $50,000 plus tax. So I got to come up with that amount of money 2 months before my trial. He said, in Canada, there is no justice you deserve. It's a justice you can afford. So that's, it's kind of scary, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, they'll bring all the resources of the state to bear, and nobody who's involved in any of this is going to have to, you know, pay anything for their persecution of you. So, you know, I'm, anyway, my heart goes out to you, and I gotta, you know, I have the, some charges pending myself for a couple of arrests, 2 in Ottawa and 2 in my hometown, but all the same related. And anyway, this is, I'm just going to orient people again, I guess, to the legal offense. And it's a Give Sun Go. They got a goal set of 70,000, and they're currently at 14,290. So, yeah, anybody out there who's willing to help, by all means, find your way to Give Send Go, or send e-transfers to getavizi@mail.com. That's Golf Echo Tango Alpha Victor India Zulu India @mail.com. So, yeah, all our love and support to you there, brother, from Veterans for Freedom. This is
I know we are living in very tough times, especially financially right now.
Yeah,
everybody's struggling. I completely get that. Well, but I appreciate any help.
Yeah. And you know, I think there's a lot of support out there for especially for the truckers from the Freedom Convoy. So yeah, I mean, anybody, I'm sure, who has the means. You've been such a good ambassador for the movement. I really hope that we're able to spread the word and get you all the help that you need here, brother.
Appreciate that.
All right. So with that, I'll just hand it over to you for the final word before we sign things off. Sab, what do you have to say for the way forward here?
Well, a couple of days ago, I was out in a town because our Prime Minister was visiting Windsor. I was thinking maybe I'm going to have a chance to get close to him and ask him some questions. But no, our Prime Minister is a master of hiding, you know. He's a group of security was tricking the people, like they start moving, but Justin didn't leave the building. You know, it was very tricky, so we didn't have a chance to see him live. So it was nice if he was able to answer a few questions, but we knew him from Ottawa. He was hiding from his people, and he doesn't really want to come and confront us and answer questions. You know, it was pretty hilarious when I saw him supporting the Chinese protest, you know, which one was pretty violent. You know, they was fighting with the police, and he came up in the media saying he's supporting all these people. You have to stand up for what you believe in and nice things like that. And he came and he crushed our protest in Ottawa, which one was really 100% peaceful.
Yeah.
So that was, I don't know what to say. I had an interview with Fox Business in December 1st about this. And to be honest with you, I regret my words in that interview being so nice with Justin. But I'm going to hold back myself and try to be diplomatic.
No need. By all means, we're not snowflakes around here, brother.
So he's a real jerk. He's a real jerk. And
yeah, you know, I mean, he's just a duplicitous Ken doll. Like, the guy's never had an original thought in his head. He's just kind of the mouthpiece, the guy who reads the lines, and like, he's got all the depth of a freaking mud puddle. So yeah, I try to say I'm over Trudeau these days. Back in 2015, I was kind of, oh, that guy really grinds my gears. But right now, it's just, I think we got to look past the actors on the stage and start going after, trying to take back our institutions in particular. So everything from the police force to the military and the universities and beyond. So anyway, it's a war, not a single battle. And man, oh man, the Battle of Ottawa. I guess Csaba, we can definitely count you as one of the veterans of the Battle of Ottawa, man, because that was you're a key player there, and like I said, I think a pretty great ambassador for the movement in all your public appearances. So, thanks a lot, brother. We appreciate you.
Thank you for your service, Jeff.
My pleasure, bro. Take care. Hey guys, yes, that was a pre-recorded interview of Csaba and I that we did just a few days ago there, and it was one of those things we were trying to get our schedules to jive, and we ended up kind of doing it on the fly, so I did a pre-record instead of a live stream. But funny thing, Csaba was just commenting here, so I sent him a quick ad, but I don't know if he's still there or not. So that'd be pretty neat if you were able to join in, but we'll give him a minute here. I said I was going to do like a couple of quick highlights for the day here before I sign off. I was just kind of working on my my charter challenge while I was running that video there for you guys. But let's see here. I'll show a couple of things that are going on. I think I want to show a few positive signs. You know, I'm always saying how things are starting to turn. Oh, you know what I did? I didn't give you guys that silly audio. All right. Let me see if he jumps in here. That'd be so cool. So here's Eva Chipwick, and she was one of the lawyers at the Freedom Convoy, one of the good ones on our side. And she says, well, wait a second here. Show who she is. She says, advocate for rights and freedoms, cross-examine PM Trudeau, lawyer for Freedom Convoy, and Tamara Lich, yoga enthusiast. All right, good for you. And we have, can we reach 200,000 views in 24 hours? We are so close. Please keep sharing. Please keep tagging your MPs and leaders. This is about transparency and accountability, and we need to play our part as Canadians. So I'm going to go ahead and retweet that. Well, you know what? I'll wait and I'll tag my MPs again, because I did that before. And Cindy's saying great interview. Thanks, Cindy. Okay, so I shared this out before, and it came back like within 24 hours. And what she was initially sharing here, this is the initial thread from Eva Chipwick, and she says, many have said they lost confidence in the Public Order Emergency Commission because of how the feds behaved and how the POEC managed the inquiry. And so she says, in addition to the heavily redacted late disclosure of the documents, the feds were, there were two other serious issues which were identified. One, the feds refused to release the legal opinion they claimed to justify the use of the Emergencies Act. And two, the POEC is giving Trudeau and his cabinet a secret report on February 6th, and Parliament and the public get the report on February 20th. Does that sound transparent to you? So she says, I encourage all Canadians to speak out about this, tag our leaders and your MP, and demand that the legal opinion used to justify invoking the Emergencies Act made public and be made public, and tell them you don't agree that Trudeau should get a secret report before it is made public. Email and call too. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. You guys can go check out her thread. But yeah, I shared that out. I tagged my MP in it as well. So I think this is where the battle space is right now. It's ideological, it's legal, and we gotta apply the pressure, and we gotta do it publicly. This is True North, and they're saying that Guilbeault criticized for misinformation about California's shooting in deleted tweet. So this clown, he was spreading misinformation in a tweet, and he got busted, and then he ended up deleting it. So good to see that everybody's kind of waking up to this stuff. So Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault is in hot water after removing a tweet in which he labeled the California Lunar New Year shooting as an anti-Asian racist attack before information on the shooter was made available by public authorities. In the now deleted tweet and Facebook posts, Guilbeault blamed the attack on, quote, hatred towards Asian people, close quote. Quote, sadly, hatred towards Asian people overshadowed the celebrations, and this barbaric act is proof that we must remain vigilant against racism, hoping that the victims and families will be encouraged in this time of grief, said Guilbeault. Guilbeault's tweet prompted immediate backlash on social media after it became apparent that the minister's framing was not accurate and based on presumption. The shooter was identified as a 72-year-old Hu Can Tran, who is of Vietnamese origin. His motive is currently under investigation. In his former role as Minister of Canadian Heritage, Guilbeault was tasked with drafting legislation to combat misinformation and hate speech. Yeah, this is the Ministry of Truth here. The Ministry of Heritage. This is the Ministry of Truth right here. And if I'm not mistaken, like the CBC's mandate, everybody's mandate even goes back to them. They were the ones that were feeding antihate.ca, so on and so forth. So, they really are central to all of this, everything that's going on in Canada right now with misinformation. On Sunday morning, Tran, who targeted a dance studio in Monterey Park, died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The suspect also traveled to another nearby venue in Alabama to attack more people, but bystanders wrestled his firearm away from him. The bloody massacre left 10 dead and nearly a dozen injured. Guilbeault is not the only senior member of the Liberal government to spread false claims about racially charged incidents. In 2018, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau made public statements about a Toronto girl who claimed an Asian man cut her hijab with scissors while walking to school. So he said, my heart goes out to Kuala Naman following this morning's cowardly attack on her in Toronto. Trudeau tweeted at the time, Canada is an open and welcoming country, and incidents like this cannot be tolerated. So I remember that at the time, and she said it was an Asian man who tried to cut her hijab. And I believe the CBC was at the school before the cops were. And the spin doctor who orchestrated that is also the guy who wrote the letter on behalf of the Danforth shooter's family, saying that it was a mental health crisis that caused the shooting. So take from that what you will. Upon police investigation, I'm saying that, of course, because they had a ton of carfentanil, which is an explosive, in AK-47s in the room, and it certainly looked like it was a pre-planned attack that he had to jump the gun on when his brother probably got some of the carfentanil on his skin and went into a coma. And last I checked, he was still in a coma. So anyway, looks like a case of jihad, and when it's jihad, they spin it as mental health. It's always the case, going back to at least the Fort Hood shooter. Major Nadal Hassan went to all the trouble of shouting Allahu Akbar the entire time he went on the massacre, and Obama still tried to say that it was workplace violence and wouldn't even give the veterans who lost their lives taking them down their proper benefits. So upon police investigation, the story was determined to be a hoax. Trudeau did not release any subsequent comments on the matter. The tweet prompted protesters to demand an apology from the Prime Minister for demonizing the Asian community. Trudeau's behavior has hurt everyone, but not just Asians. By not apologizing, it stirs up racial tensions and hate between communities, close quote, said protester Bob Peng. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's polarizing. It's dogmatic. This doesn't come from anywhere. Like violent crime and hate crime, it's never been so low. Right up to the pandemic, I suppose. But who knows where we are right now? And here's Dave Rubin. He keeps a really close eye on Bill Maher. And I remember Bill Maher back in the day. I kind of liked the religious was, I'm a loud and proud atheist. I've been my whole life, and it's nice to see some stuff come from our guys. But at the same time, I've always found him to be one of these guys that's just really smarmy and smug. He's a California liberal, and he's a boomer male. So here's Dave. He does a pretty good job of putting him in his place. And the thing is that Bill Maher is awakening. So it's something to keep an eye on, because he's an HBO phenomenon, has been for years. He was on that show Politically Correct back in the 90s. He's a staple of the left, and I guess the boomer male as well. So here we go.
Speaking of a bad set of ideas, one of the liberals that I'm always working on is disaffected liberal, but still self-proclaimed liberal, Bill Maher. Bill Maher is struggling with his own team because they no longer believe in diversity of thought. And Bill Maher recently was talking about where that rot comes from, and I think he nailed it.
I really think, look, we are, I think when historians look back at our time, they will not divide us into red and blue and Republican, Democrat. They're like, the things that were wrong with us, were wrong with both sides in different ways. I do think they manifest in a more dangerous way on the right. But on the left, there is a rot. And it comes from academia, and I agree. And it filters down. Am I wrong about that? That's where it's all coming from. I just think this is an epitome of it. This is what the mother says, and then the kid robbed your money.
It's quite true. The place in American society, really all Western society, where the horrific ideas of leftism and wokeism and collectivism, socialism, these top-down ideas, these ideas that are anti-human liberty, they're anti the individual because they don't want you thinking for yourself. They want to think for you. These have all taken root at universities throughout this country. And as I said,
just a quick note here. I think Csaba was looking for guidance on how to jump into the studio with me here, but just check your messenger, buddy, on Facebook. And I sent you a link there. You should be able to click right in here, and I'll add you into the stream.
Throughout the world. So he is getting it on that point. They will scream till their heads explode about diversity. But of course, as you guys know, the one diversity that they hate is diversity of thought. And this is something that I think a whole bunch of people did not, we just thought the thing was going to work. We just thought, oh, you could send your kid to a school to get a degree in lesbian badminton and whatever it might be, and you'll spend a lot of money doing it, but the machine will just keep working and they'll just get a job and everything will be okay. But now, after probably 4 decades of this indoctrination, we are seeing the fruits of that. And you have to give credit to the socialists. You have to give credit to all of these people who said, we will start at the schools and we will indoctrinate youth. And does that sound a little something similar to?
That was the boomer generation, by the way. They were the radicals who got in bed with the postmodernists, which is just American communism. Professors like Michel Foucault, Jacques Derrida, and Herbert Marcuse. And they were the rioters of the Summer of Love, where there was the shooting as well with the National Guard gunning down rioters. And Black Panthers and third wave feminism, and they went underground after the third wave feminists came head to head with Phyllis Schlafly back in the day, about 78, they had a national debate on the subject of the Equal Rights Amendment, which was ratified by like 20 states at the time. And then Phyllis Schlafly, who was a PhD and stay-home mom, stepped forward to say, well, hey, if you get rid of any reference to gender in U.S. law, then that would make women subject to the draft. And when she put them on the spot in front of everybody, in front of the nation, they said, well, yeah, actually, we want to see that. And then actually the states that have ratified it, they all backed out, and everybody was like, okay, you people are crazy. And that was about the end of it. But they went underground. They went into the institutions. They became professors and ran programs for decades. And that's what's happened. They said they would go into the institutions. They would go on the long march through the institutions, and now they're at peak institutional power. They're the deans, the tenured professors, generals, commissioners of the RCMP, chief of the Privy Council office, so on and so forth. So,
what's going on with all these trans drag shows or drag queen drag shows, kid drag shows, whatever the hell's going on over there. Like, you get them young, you confuse them with bad ideas young. You show a 6-year-old a dude in a dress dancing around saying crazy things, and it's just to confuse them, because a confused mind is fertile ground to a stolen rest of your life, something like that.
Yeah. So give Dave a follow. He's pretty great. I listen to his podcast every day. And here's an update. This is something I've been following. What's been going on in Afghanistan. Of course, after the withdrawal, the collapse, there was it was just like the fall of Saigon all over again in Kabul. Worse than that, even with people clinging to the landing gear of the Hercs taken off the runway. And the Taliban, anyway, have shut down schools for girls. They won't allow girls to get an education. And there's a lot of, fanaticism around the garb, the hijab, this is the niqab over here. Here are some of the young girls over there now. Okay, it says they closed our schools, everyone remains silent. They closed our universities, everyone remains silent. Now they've come for our private courses as well. Shall we commit suicide and just kill ourselves? Death to the Taliban. So holy smokes. That's these girls are really risking their lives here, coming out and saying this. I'll remind everybody that Malala Yousafzai was the Nobel Prize winning girl out of Afghanistan there. She got shot in the face by the Taliban for going to school, and then published a book. So here's Harrison Faulkner. He's True North, and he says Liberal government House Leader Mark Holland says that the government and leaders have to be more, quote, empathetic, close quote, to Canadians still struggling from the pandemic in order to regain lost trust. More to come from Hamilton follow. So, that's about as swamp creature as it gets. And if they're going to, if they're taking this tack now, then I'd say that that's a pretty positive sign of things to come. So here you go.
I'm with True North. I'm wondering why do you think there's so much anger right now in this country, and what the government can do to try and fix some of the trust issues that we're clearly seeing in this country?
I think we all have to be a lot more empathetic to one another. I think that we went through collective trauma with the pandemic, and that everybody experienced something very difficult. Unfortunately, some much more difficult than others. And I think that, in that period of time that a lot of us went back to, our families and the people we were closest with, and we lost some of the social connections that we normally have. So we lost the opportunity to have conversations with each other. So I think we just need a lot more empathy. We're in one of the most difficult times, frankly, that human beings have gone through since the Second World War.
Do you think that a lot of that falls on government and leaders in charge to try and lower the temperature as much as they can and not try and stoke division or ideological frustration?
I think it falls on all of us, to be introspective about how we talk to one another, whether or not we're really listening. When we're angry at each other or when we're yelling at each other, that's not reflective of listening. And it certainly isn't conducive to positive conversation or moving us forward, either as a country or as a people. So I think all of us have to be introspective about how we talk.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
So there you go. See where that goes. And shoot. No, I think that was it for me. But let's see what Ron Paul's got to say. Let's go.
A little bit of an announcement. If you can put this next one on. This is from antiwar.com yesterday. Right and left to join in D.C. protests. Not another penny for war in Ukraine. February 19th, the new anti-interventionist coalition to march to the White House from the Lincoln Memorial. It's called Rage Against the War Machine. February 19th, Washington, D.C. Mark your calendars. There's a huge list of speakers from the left to the right. Scott Ritter, who's spoken at our events, is going to be there. And Dr. Paul, guess who else is going to be there? Let's look at the next clip. Ladies and gentlemen, there we go. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. I will be speaking at this rally on February 19th. I will not wear a buffalo hat on my head and go in the Capitol building. However, I can assure you, but I will make some comments to what I hope is a massive, massive rally. The Mises Caucus of the Libertarian Party. Several other organizations are behind it. So mark your calendars. Go to Google Rage Against the War Machine, and you'll find out more information. And I'll put a link in the description here where you can find out more. The People's Party and the Libertarian Party are sponsoring it. It is time to get out there and demonstrate against this war.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, a couple of comments on that. That's a good clip. I'm glad I went to that. So the thing is that I'm always talking about the fourth turning, and in the fourth turning, wars tend to be total. And what happens is the generation that's born in the wake of the previous Great War, which was World War II, and the boomer generation, as they move up. So when the generations that are born in the wake of the previous Great Crisis, they tend not to go to war. That's one of the big things about them. And so they didn't go. When they don't go, and they don't go to Vietnam, they dodged. The silent generation didn't do that. They actually got drafted in Vietnam as well, and in Korea before that. So that's often overlooked. The thing is that as they move up, we start getting into proxy wars during a third turning, which would be the unraveling. That's where we start to see things like Afghanistan and Iraq, which would have been analogous to World War I, although World War I was much bigger because it involved, first world nations. As when they reach peak institutional power, when that profit generational archetype that's born in the wake of the previous great crisis reaches peak institutional power, that's when wars tend to be total. So this is, I think, a good development to see these kinds of rallies being held and these tactics being used to say left and right unite, end war, because that is what we're talking about. I guess I would take the line that those who didn't go to war when they were young probably don't have any business sending other people to war when they're old. So that's my position, and I think that that's a really good line for the movement to be taken right now in terms of the Ukraine war. De-escalation doesn't seem to be on the table, and that was the trend that we saw in the wake of World War I with the Treaty of Versailles, that eventually culminated in World War II, because they blamed Germany for World War I, and they took a really hard line with that. And this is like probably middle school history that I'm referencing here. So now we see that same kind of social trend where institutional leadership is not. They tend to double down on their enemies. They don't engage in diplomacy. And there's no compromise, and it just ends up leading to another great war, and wars tend to be total at this age location in history. So, or at their age location in history, when they're at peak institutional power in the fourth turning, wars tend to be total. So let's look for a de-escalation strategy here, folks. And I'll throw to a couple of comments here before I And we have one here. World War III is coming, in my opinion, Carrie says. That does seem to be the direction that we're headed in right now. I think that much is that's not even a controversial statement at this point. And yeah, it's like I'm saying, there doesn't seem to be any discussion around options for de-escalation. We're sending so much stuff to Ukraine, and we're deploying troops to Latvia. That's, you know, from Putin's perspective, that's probably seen as putting some pieces into place on the chessboard. And here we are drawing down everything from the Middle East to do that. I sure hope that doesn't leave a power vacuum there, because last time we did that, we got ISIS. Maybe de-escalation, guys. What do you think? So let me see. Email address for Csaba. That's the at mail.com one. Yep. So that's getavizi at mail.com. So Golf Echo Tango Alpha Victor India Zulu India at mail.com. Send your email transfers there to donate to Csaba's Legal Defense Fund if you're not into using platforms. But otherwise, you can go to his Give, Send, Go. And I'll just give that one more show before we sign off here. So here is the Legal Defense Fund for Csaba. And you can find him. It's very easy to find. It's just he's at Give, Send, Go. And as you can see, they have a goal set of $70,000 to cover his legal expenses. And so far they're at $14,290. So not too bad, not too bad. Go on over there and show Csaba some love. He's, like I said, he's a veteran of the Battle of Ottawa. For us, he's definitely a hero of the Battle of Ottawa. So worthy cause, in my opinion. And with that, folks, I appreciate you staying with me, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Till next time, stay frosty and stay safe out there.